Hi, everybody. I'm inviting Brittany Wittig in today. We're going live together, so give me 1 second while I invite her in. Doing well. Happy Friday. There she is. Hi.
Hey,
How are you?
I am good.
Happy Friday.
Yes, you too. Totally.
I'm thrilled to have you do this with me. I'm excited about our conversation, and that was seamless. You coming in was very easy. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, it worked well this time.
It did. It was like boom, we're on it. We're here. So I want to start by introducing you. Brittany is a courage coach and an expert on the intersection of fear, courage, and intuition, the sweet spot that creates miracles and makes dreams come true. That is, I reread that and I was like, right before you came on, and I was like, wow, that is so, even her bio is so inspiring. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Yes, I'm so happy to have you here, and I want to learn more about what you do, and we want to talk about your story, and we're going to inspire other people who are joining us today. So, yeah, so let's tell us about you. I want to know your story. I know you've been on a crazy health journey over the last few years. So tell us what all that's about, and then how you came to be a courage coach. I love that.
Yeah, so my story really started, my journey to this really started back in 2012 when I actually lived through my greatest fear. And that was my mother getting sick with cancer and passing away. I was her primary caretaker. And at the time, if you had asked me, Brittany, like, what is the worst possible thing you can imagine in the world? I would have said my mom dying. We were very, very close. She was my best friend. And it was really interesting because after she passed, maybe 6 months later, I looked back at my life and I realized that my life had improved massively. And it blew my mind because if you'd asked me, if you talked to me about my mom dying before the actual experience, I would have thought it would have been very one note, just horrible, awful, bad. And it was.
End of the world.
Yeah,
right.
End of the world. And it was all of those things in a way. But what I wouldn't have known and what I realized afterwards was that experience led me to reprioritize everything in my life. It changed my worldview. And so I looked at that and I was like, okay, wait a minute. Like, maybe fear is not what I think fear is. Like, maybe it has a different function in life. So fast forward 9 years, almost to the day, actually, I received a cancer diagnosis on just 2 days before my mother's death day, actually.
Wow.
So once again, I was facing my greatest fear because, of course, after my mother's illness, the worst possible thing I could think of was me having cancer.
Right.
It was just like, but.
Well, young too. I mean, you're young.
Yeah, definitely. When I got the cancer diagnosis, I was 38. So, yeah.
Which is young.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It was shocking. And of course, it was terrifying. But I had the last 9 years of obsessing over fear, courage, and intuition. Like, I spent the last decade basically reading everything, learning everything, implementing courageous action and intuitive action into my life all the time. So this time when I was faced with my greatest fear, I had all these tools. And I actually looked at my partner and I was like, it's okay. I have tools for this.
Wow.
He was like,
Yeah. Wow, that is so huge and amazing. And because most people, what's so fascinating to me is the timing of everything. And I totally believe in divine timing and everything happening for a reason. And so for you, it was like you had to go through your mom's death and that process to then be inspired by the fear, to then go down this road of like research and study and learning all the tools to then be faced with the most, not only did it circle back with like family trauma being reincarnated into your life, right? Even if it wasn't the same type of cancer, I don't know, but like if the be coming back in the family trauma, but to be faced with it at the penultimate moment, which literally was the moment, that basically the day that she had died. So it was like it all came full circle to challenge you on your most like 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 in the most horrible way in a sense, but it was like your body knew that like you needed this challenge and you were up to it in order to come to your greatest work.
Yes.
Which, yeah, which is like I had to pause you for a second because I'm just like my mind is blown right now because I'm just it's all full circle, and your journey and how that to now you're literally doing what you're meant to do in the world. And it's so similar to my journey, not that I didn't have cancer, but with my MS journey, and 19 years later, finding my true purpose in the work that I've created. So yeah, I just find it so fascinating how health, our greatest challenges can also be our greatest gifts.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Life-changing. And it was life-changing in the most positive ways. And the thing that was wild about it, so I followed my intuition 100%. I used all my tools to quiet my fear so I could hear my intuition. And then I followed that intuition step by step through treatment. And I actually was declared cancer-free months before the best case scenario they gave me. And I attribute that 100% to me working with my fear and following my intuition.
Wow. Okay, so this is huge because work here can go into any stage of your life. Like it doesn't have to be cancer. It can be, I deal with students all the time who are facing horrible fears, and that's what we work through that. But I'm curious how you did that.
Yeah.
What are the tools? Like, not you're going to teach them all, but like, what did you do to do it?
Right. Totally. So the first thing I did, what I knew I had to do first, the minute I got the diagnosis, was I knew that I had to honor and feel my feelings about it so that I could accept it.
Yep.
Because you and I talked about this. Accepting what is the starting point. It has to be.
Yep.
So and what that looked like with the cancer diagnosis, because it was so big, and you're right, stacked on family trauma, it looked like almost a week of me literally retreating from the world and just screamed, I punched pillows, I moved emotion for days. And I let my partner know, like, this is what I'm going to have to do. Oh, did I lose you?
There we go. Are you talking?
Yeah. Did you lose me for a second?
I lost you for a second. Okay, so you were talking about how you retreated.
Yes.
And your part, you said, this is what I need to do. Okay, so go back to that point.
Yeah. So I retreated, and I told my partner I just need to release emotion. And I did that for probably 5 days straight, just like punching pillows, screaming, crying. And what that does, when you let yourself actually embrace your fear and say, like, I am scared as fuck, like I am, and this is because I have cancer, and that is scary, like accepting it like that, then it allowed that fear to come down to the level where I could perceive my intuition again. Because your intuition is calm, it's quiet, it's to the point, and it doesn't repeat itself over and over. So if you want to hear it, you really have to bring down that fear so that you can sense your intuition. And I continued to do this every single day throughout all of my treatment. I went through chemo, 2 kinds of radiation, and every single day I released fear, I released emotion, I felt my feelings, and I listened to my intuition.
I mean, exactly what we do at the MS stage in certain ways, right? Like we dance with our fears, we dance with our symptoms, we name our symptoms, we move with them, we accept them, and we recognize them that they're there, so we don't run from them, right? Yes. And then we talk to them and we ask them like, well, what do you need from me today? How can I help you? You're my friend now. Like, what do you look like? What do you dress? How are you dressed? What are you wearing? Like, we learn about them as their own entity so that we can really get to know them on a deeper level, which is exactly what you're talking about with fear. I mean, we move by dancing movement, right? Or meditating with it. But what you're talking about is it's somatic work, right? I mean, screaming it out, moving it out, shaking your body, doing all the things. I mean, it's total somatic work. We're so aligned, and it's like so inspiring me to be like, we have to do something together because this is so incredible what you've done. So, okay, so you did that. You cured your cancer, right? You cured your cancer. So how long ago was all of that?
Oh, it was in the end of 2021 and into about halfway through 2022. So very recent.
I mean, that's only a year ago.
Yep.
That's okay. So that's very new. So then now what, right? Like now you've used those tools. Now you're coaching other people. You're a courage coach, right? So we'll talk about that. Like, what do you do? How does that work?
Absolutely. So I show and teach people how to do what I did, how to move fear through their body, how to work with fear too, like how to embrace it. And I say work with fear because so much of the way people talk about fear is like avoiding it, beat the fear, fight the fear. Like, no. Yeah. We embrace the fear. We work with the fear like it's a friend because it's a part of us and it's a natural part of being human. So we embrace it, we work with it. And I help people not just work through something difficult, although I certainly do that with people. Also, what you can do with this is you can use that embracing of fear to change your life, to actually do the big things that you've wanted to do, those dreams that float around in your head that seem too big to be possible. You can do those things when you become friends with your fear. Oh, say that again.
Where you are?
Oh, I'm losing you a little bit. One more time.
Uh-oh. I said, is it raining where you are?
Oh, it
might. We hear like a heavy, like almost like a wind sound behind you. That's why I was asking if it was raining.
Oh, you know what that might be? I can fix it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Did that fix it?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I should have asked sooner because it was like I felt like you were in like a wind tunnel. It sounded like.
Sorry. We have a fan far away, but we're hearing it.
Okay, we're here now. We're good.
Yep.
So, embracing it. Yes, this is exactly. I mean, it's literally what I teach. I mean, this is exactly what I talk about: is embracing our fears, accepting our diagnosis. Not because I learned the opposite way.
Right.
I learned by resisting it for 14 years. I would only say I was diagnosed with MS. I wouldn't say I have MS. I wouldn't own the label, which is fine. I still don't tell people to own the label. I just tell them to at least like accept that it exists.
Right.
And then start working with it as its own entity so that you can become friends with it, just like what you said. And so, yeah, I learned the opposite way. It just took me a long time to get there. And that's why I'm now doing what I do. But what I was going to say about this is so cool. Like one of my students this morning literally messaged me because she has an amazing story. She used to run Ironmans. Like she's like hardcore athlete. But then she was diagnosed with MS and like has a lot of symptoms, like can't feel her feet, like it's a lot of stuff going on. But she did my first level of the program, and all of a sudden she starts like, her mom actually just passed away and tomorrow is her mom's funeral. So she just sent me a recording of a song that she sang and recorded that no one knows that she's even a singer and that she loves to sing and she has an amazing voice. And she's playing it at the service tomorrow. Like, I mean, they're playing the recording because she said she didn't think she could make it through it without crying if she did it live. So she recorded it, and it's the most beautiful thing you've ever heard in your life. And I'm like, I literally messaged her and I was like, you just got into the deepest essence of yourself and your own courage by doing what you just did, that nobody even knows that you're a singer.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally none of her family, nobody. And I was like, how do your feet feel when you sing? Because because they're listening, right? And that feels good to her and she enjoys it. So her feet are going to enjoy it too. And so anyway, your story just inspired me to tell that story, because I just am like, it's so important, because she was one of those people who shut it down. She didn't face it. She didn't want to think about MS. She didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
She did nothing for 2 years. She did nothing about it. And now all of a sudden when she found me, she was like, oh, I need to start dealing with it. And now she's like doing something about it, and she's coming back into herself,
Yes.
which is incredible. So I just, anyway, your story just totally inspired me. I'm like fired up because I love talking to you so much.
Well, what I love about that too is it's so, what you just shared so amplifies the truth that no area of our life is isolated from the others. Mm-hmm. So if you have, an illness, if you have something going on health-wise, and you dig into your courage around that radiates out into all the areas of your life.
Yep. And I was literally just writing about this morning, because there's research that shows that like the mind and body are connected. Everything's connected and everything is listening to the other things, right? So like if you're looking at them as separate parts, which the research I was just studying was like, it used to be that like when the Western world came into play in like the 17th century or whatever it was, they started to separate the two.
Yes.
Right. 300 years ago, they were combining them. They were making it like a holistic, everything was together. Basically, it was all connected. But then medicine came into play and they separated it, right? But now proof is coming out that it all is connected and it works, right? Like this work works. What you're doing, what I'm doing, it works for a reason. It's scientifically proven now. So, okay, I'm on a rampage. So you are amazing. So what did you do? Okay, so what did you do for work before all this happened?
So before I had the cancer diagnosis, my business was like completely spiritual. So okay. I was doing channeled readings. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I did energy healing, and I still do some of that.
Yeah.
But so that was my focus with my business. Yeah. But what was so interesting is I was living the courage coach life in a huge way. Like back in 2016, I used to work in the animal industry, and I quit my 9-to-5. I managed a veterinary hospital. Back in 2016, I quit my 9-to-5, sold everything I owned, and started traveling the world full time with the intention of becoming a travel blogger, which I did.
Amazing.
So it's
okay.
The courage thing made sense. It was bringing that spirituality and the courage together into what I do now, that the cancer really, it moved me into that. It helped me with that.
Okay. It's amazing. So then talk about what you do now. Like what do you, like personal one-on-one coaching?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do now?
I do a variety. I definitely I do once a month, I do a group energy healing and activation. That's actually coming up. And that's fully energy work. So I still do energy work with the courage coaching, because energy work is powerful. I used it through my cancer journey. And then I do one-to-one sessions where we do coaching. There's movement involved. Basically, we use all of these tools in whatever's appropriate for the person at the time to dig into what is scaring you. And more often than not, this is subconscious. You might not realize even that you're running a fear. You might just feel stuck. So we do energy work, coaching, and then a lot of nervous system work. I'm big on nervous system regulation. You can't work with fear without working with your nervous system. So we use a lot of vagus nerve stimulation, nervous system tools. So you can work with me one-to-one. I have pre-recorded master classes, 2 different ones. I do a monthly free workshop called Discover Your Inner Superhero that you can, all this is at the link in my bio. And then I have an online course, a big 3-month online course that dives deep, 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 deep into working with your fear and following your intuition.
And is that virtual? Is that a one-on-one or a group?
That's a group. It's a group.
Okay. So, and it's amazing. It's all amazing. I love all of this, and we're so aligned.
Oh yeah.
My whole platform is from symptom to super, turning your symptoms into your superpowers. So I love that you're talking about superheroes, superpowers. I love all of this.
Yes.
It's and I will give everybody a backstory. Brittany and I met through a course that we took together with Kelly Moser called Hell Yes Guest, about podcast guesting, which then Brittany and I met, and you have a podcast. So let's talk about that too. Like, tell me about your podcast. When did you start that? What made you want to start that? And who are your normal guests?
So yeah, my podcast is called Coming Out of the Spiritual Closet. It is a globally ranked top 10% podcast. I started it in 21, I think in spring 2021, when I was more completely focused on the spiritual work. So coming out of the spiritual closet. But of course, coming out of the spiritual closet is a courageous move in itself. So it all goes together very well.
Yeah. I mean, I've been woo-woo basically my whole life.
Yeah.
But I'm like, sort of, I've come more out of the spiritual closet, I think, in the last few years than I ever have.
Yeah.
But I'm always into it. But now I'm like whatever. I don't care what people think. But that comes with age too, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so you did that. So you started the podcast, and then So who do you like to talk to besides me? She had on the podcast.
Yes. Well, and I had you on the podcast because you're so aligned with my audience. Because what we talk about spirituality, holistic wellness, intuition, and of course, we talk a lot about courageously living your life, courageously moving on your spiritual path, courageously working with personal development. So you were just this perfect fit. You know, I've talked a lot about my cancer journey on my podcast, and I love what you're doing with the MS stage. Like, it's just so powerful. This idea of meeting your symptoms and communicating with your symptoms. Like, as soon as I heard you talk about what you do, I was like, oh, you need to be on the podcast. For sure. And of course, I've gotten so much positive. I haven't even told you this, but I've gotten a ton of positive feedback already from that episode.
Really?
People really resonated with it.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. Well, that's a perfect segue into talk about your experience with my work from the MS stage, because Brittany personally used the tools that I taught her, and I want to hear how that went for you.
Okay, yes. So first of all, I wish that I had known of these tools when I had my cancer, because I would have loved to add those to my tool belt for sure. Because they're just amazing. So what happened was, when we did the interview for my podcast, I am traveling in Mexico for the winter, and I contracted a parasitic infection that was just not healing. And it went on and on and on. And I was many weeks into this. I'd lost a ton of weight. I was really, really sick. Like, my digestive system was not functioning. And we had our interview, and I was like, I am going to use some of these tools because it just resonated so much. So what I did was I went home from the interview, and I connected with my symptoms. And what I very broadly connected with was my gut upset. So that was the big thing. And it was amazing. Okay, so I connected with her. It was her. Her name was Dolores. And she was very childlike. So, because you ask people to, figure out the name, what are they like all these different traits.
What are they wearing? What do they look like? Where do they hang out? Yeah. What's their attitude? Yeah. Are they cocky? But yeah.
Yeah. So Dolores, she was a child, probably like 10 years old, and very, very angry, like mad as hell. She was so pissed. And I was like, wow, okay. And so I talked with her about why she was mad. And here's where it gets trippy. I haven't even shared this with you yet.
Oh my gosh, I can't.
So Dolores came along when I didn't realize this, but this started when I had pelvic radiation, part of my radiation treatment, because part of my gut was radiated. And so I knew that. I knew that there would be some scarring in my gut. But basically, Dolores came along. What she really was a bacterial imbalance that needed to be looked at. Like, she was a little symptom all the time since I had cancer that I was ignoring. And she had blown up into a much bigger symptom because I was in denial, because I didn't want to look at my diet. I didn't want to change my diet. Not that I'm like a super unhealthy eater, but there were things that needed to be changed based on the way my gut changed with the cancer. And so she told me all this. She's like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you eating these foods that I hate, that are horrible, that are making me feel awful? Like, there was like this clear explanation. And so
parasitic infection basically aggravated her even more,
yes,
essentially. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why the parasite was gone, but I wasn't healing properly.
Oh.
Yeah. And so, yeah, she literally told me, like, I hate this, don't put this in your body anymore. And so I wrote it all down. I was like, well, first of all, I was like, I'm really sorry. Like, I connected with her. Like, yeah, there was some very emotional, I'm describing it now in this like straightforward way. It was very emotional.
No, like, you have compassion for them too. Right. Once you start to see them as your friend or like as this little girl, then it's like, oh, wait a second. I'm like not giving her what she needs. And she's like this little girl mad, So then you start compassion for them, right? So wow. So you wrote it all. So all this came to you from meditation, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Sat down, got in a meditative state, and connected with her.
Amazing. Okay. And then you did all the things she asked you to do.
Yeah. So this is where it's wild. So I cut out the things that she told me not to eat. And these are things that make sense. Sugar, gluten, most dairy, coffee. That was kind of a big one. But that made sense because coffee's always kind of hurt my stomach.
Yeah. It's acidic too. Yeah.
So it's a lot, I shifted my diet very dramatically, but literally within, I want to say like a week to 10 days, all my symptoms went away. Like, my digestion is better than it has been since I had cancer.
That's amazing. Oh my,
incredible.
Oh my God. Yeah. And this is what I want to, I just got chills all over. I mean, because this is like, people watching this my community is a lot of people with MS, but like not everybody maybe has MS, or maybe their friends don't have MS and there's other autoimmune or cancer or whatever. This works for anybody. And that's why I love that like you are talking about this, because it's like, a lot of people have gut problems and they didn't necessarily have cancer, but like they can have gut problems. And if they connect with that in a new way, then maybe they'll actually tell them something. So she gave you like a very specific list.
Yes, it was very clear, like what I needed to stop eating. It was so interesting. And so I did it. I was like, you know what? Nothing else is working. I'm sure as hell not taking any more antibiotics, because that is messing my system up.
Right.
And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And we'll just try this and see what happens.
And so that was like I don't know when that was, a few weeks ago? Yeah. When was that?
It was, maybe a month ago or a little over. I feel like it's been 3 to 4 weeks now of me having healthy digestion, I think.
So you've totally changed all this stuff that she asked you to change. Have you checked back in with her at all?
No, actually, that's a great idea. That's so
Well, I'm
funny, right?
curious.
Scratch what itches.
What?
Oh, it's so funny. We forget to, like, once things are good,
Right.
like, I have to check back in. I need to.
Well, just curious, like if she's like, no, I'm so happy you did all that and that's all you need to do and keep doing it. Or if she's like, well, you could occasionally have coffee or I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just curious, like if she's like, no, 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 do this for 6 months. I mean, I'm curious if she'll have some kind of, more detailed response.
Oh,
I don't know.
sure. Oh, I'm going to do that. I'll do that today. I'll let you know. Yeah.
Okay.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
I
I'll let back in and I'll update the post with the information once you message me what it is. I'll edit the post.
Yeah, awesome. For sure.
Oh my gosh, I love all of this so much. I think it's so cool and thank you for doing that, but I'm so grateful for you that you did do that because clearly it worked.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing these processes. And I want to say also, so that was like my big experience with what you recommend. But the other thing that I've done, I've saved your playlists on Spotify for switching, that switching exercise where you switch your emotion from, anger or whatever to joy or anyway, I've done that. And I really, really appreciate that process. I think it's really powerful. It's really helpful. It's really helpful. Not just in switching the emotion, but also there's power. I feel like there's power. Like if I'm really sad, in putting on a sad song and first allowing myself to like really lean into the sadness with the song. Like the music is so powerful. It's so helpful. So that is also an awesome practice.
Thank you. Yeah, I thank you so much for saying that. I think the key to that, nobody likes to face the sad emotions, right? Like a lot of my client or students are like, well, yeah, today I didn't like, because I make them switch between, in the beginning of their level 1, I make them go into the dark ones and then switch to the light ones, right? But level 2, we start to play because they're already talking to their symptoms and they know more about their symptoms. So they've already had like major shifts. Then we can start focusing on just sticking with the positive emotions. But like, if they don't go through what are they really feeling about all this first, then they're not going to get to that place. So I know sometimes they're like, I didn't like how that felt. And I'm like, well, I know, but your body doesn't like how that feels either, right? Like, yeah, your cells don't like that either. So if you're feeling frustrated, you need to move through that frustration and turn that into something else because your body doesn't like that. They don't want to feel that way either.
Right.
So yeah, thanks for saying that. That's huge. I mean, I love that you have done that. And I love that you're doing that even without having an illness now. I mean, you're just doing it.
Yeah. It's powerful. It's powerful for anybody.
I think that's so cool. I love that. I love hearing that because I haven't worked with other people who don't have MS. I mean, my whole brand has been specific to MS, but I mean, I know it can work for other people. I just haven't actually practiced it on other people. So I think that's very cool that you did that. And so thank you for being one of my first, I guess I should say.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, let me see. I'm looking at my questions to make sure I don't miss anything because I love everything about what you're saying. Oh, what kind of people, so all of your clients, like, are they people with illness? Are they just anybody? Like, are they men and women? Who are your people?
Yeah, it's usually not people with illness. It's usually women who have something big that they want to do. And that certainly could be moving through an illness, for the record. Like, I'm 100% open to working with clients that are in that place. But so far, most of my clients are women who have a big thing that they know they want to do. Like, they know they're meant to do it. They want to accomplish it. a dream of some kind, but they feel like they've gotten stuck. And
Yeah.
sometimes they know that they're terrified. They know that's why. But a lot of times people come to me and they're like, I heard you say that feeling stuck is usually actually a fear response, which it is. And so
Yeah.
we dig in and find the fear in those cases.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. So yeah, so anybody really. I mean, I don't know if you listen to Kathy Heller, and she has 20 seconds of courage. I think it's 20
I don't.
seconds. Have you heard?
Look her up.
So, her podcast is amazing, but she talks about like I think it's 20 seconds or 10 seconds. I can't remember, but anyway, it's 20 seconds. Let's say it's 20 seconds. 20 seconds of courage. Like, what 20 seconds of courage did you do today? So it could be like, send an email, right? Like, go whatever. Go introduce yourself to somebody. You know, like whatever it is, whatever that courage looks like for you. And that made me think of you, because that's something she talks about a lot. And I thought, that's cool, right? Like, that's very aligned with, because it's like, if you just take one, well, Gabby Bernstein too, who's like one of my big mentors and spiritual teachers, she talks about small right actions. So it's like one small right action at a time, or 20 seconds of courage at a time, right? So it's like, just taking those steps, but not thinking of them in the overwhelm, which obviously we all have those moments. Like, I had a moment the other day where I was like fully overwhelmed. I'll admit it, but I had to just step away, move my body, do something else, whatever, get out of the overwhelm, because that's stress and that's inflammatory and all the things. Yeah. But sometimes have to just be in that to like then move through it and be like, no, I just can only do one thing at a time, one step at a time, one thing at a time. Yeah, so I love that you talk about courage, because I think that's super, super important.
Yeah,
I love
what's aligned with what you just said very much is this idea, courage is like a muscle.
Yeah.
And so both of those recommendations are basically you're working the courage muscle, and it gets stronger every time you use it. Like I said, those 20 seconds, it can be something so small. Like, today, while I'm in line at the grocery store, I'm going to talk to the stranger next to me.
Yeah. Boom. Yeah. Totally. Because you never know who you're going to meet or what that could lead to, or or like, I'm going to make that phone call.
Yeah.
To whoever seems, whatever the situation is. No, actually today I'm going to call them, like whatever.
Yep.
I think that, yeah. So what you're doing is really powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I love it. I want to do something with you. We need to talk about that offline.
Yeah.
When back in the States. So talk about that. You're traveling.
Yeah. So I travel full time, actually. We are in Mexico, traveling throughout the country until mid-April, and then we're flying to France to walk the Camino de Santiago, which is a pilgrimage across the country of Spain, 500 miles. Yeah. And then we'll be back in the States in mid-July for 3 months, because we do a bunch of festivals over the summer months.
Oh, okay. Oh, you go to festivals, like music festivals?
Kind of more arts festivals, but
okay.
I actually do crisis counseling at these festivals. So I do volunteer counseling for people who are having like difficult psychedelic experiences.
Whoa. Yeah. Wow. That is amazing. I mean, you have so many cool tools in your toolbox. It's incredible. And your lifestyle is amazing. Like, I couldn't do that. Like, I like to be in, like, I love to travel, but I also like to like have my home, have my space, be in routine. Like, it's just how I am. I'm not like I like to be spontaneous sometimes, but I feel like I'm not the person who's just going to like go off and like travel around the world for a year. I don't know. I mean, I could do it. It'd be amazing. But yeah, that's amazing. So did you like sell all your belongings to like live somewhere else? You did?
Yeah, back in 2016, we sold most everything. What we kept for when we are in the States is a vehicle and like a storage unit of essentials, like things that are important, but everything Yeah, is gone.
Amazing. So do you live in the car when you come back to the States?
Oh no, we usually rent a place.
Oh,
Like this time we'll be renting a house for 3 months. Yeah, we did
yeah.
for a while have an RV that we would live
That's what I was thinking. Is I could see you in like a Sprinter van or one of those.
in.
Like,
Yeah, we
yeah, I could totally.
for a while. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, I could do it for a short period of time. I couldn't do it for a long time, but I could do
Well,
it.
if you ever want to come visit us somewhere and join us for like a week, you just let me know. That's a for real.
Oh my God. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think everything you do sounds amazing. And I'm super into energy work and all those things too. So yeah. Amazing. Okay, so Brittany, where do people find you other than Brittany.Wittig is your Instagram?
Yep.
And so your link in bio has everything.
It does. Yeah. And BrittanyWittig.com is my website with everything also. So very easy to find me.
Good. Would you like me to draw a card for you? I feel like you probably already did this for yourself.
Of course, I'll never turn down a card. Are you kidding? Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to draw a card for you. This is what I do. This is the Hero's Journey Dream Oracle card deck, which I use in my classes. And we use the Hero's Journey as some of the framework of the MS stage, which is cool. So I love this. I love this deck. So we're asking what Brittany needs to see, hear, or discover for herself and in her body and in her life. This one seems to want to come out. Ha! Trip the light, fantastic. Dance with the universe.
Ooh, I love that. Is there a number?
Yeah. It's the number 23. So the quote is, and forget not that the earth delights to feel your bare feet and the winds long to play with your hair. That's a quote from Khalil Gibran, I think. The message is there's a place within that inherently trusts the subtle and not so subtle nudges the universe sends you. Allow that place to expand as you feel your body trusting and surrendering to the rhythm of the universe. It knows when to hold firm, when to pause, and when to flow. Allow yourself to feel the universe guiding you in the sensuality of your every move. When you dance with the universe, there's no need to figure out what move will come next. Allow yourself to be pliant yet taut, nimble yet audacious, so that you may delight in your rapturous self-expression. The mantra is, I celebrate each twirl, dip, and flip as I dance with the universe in ecstatic jubilation.
Oh, I love that. It resonates so intensely too, because I have been leaning more deeply into that dance with the universe just in recent weeks. So it's so synchronous with where I'm at. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. Well, I can send you a picture of it. I'll email it to you.
Thank you. That'd be great.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much. This was so enjoyable. Every conversation. Oh, and I will also link in the post our episode. I'm going to try to get back to that. It's on my press page of my website too, but Brittany and I did an awesome episode of her podcast together. We had an incredible conversation, and you guys should definitely go listen to that and give her a review. So yeah, she has a great podcast with a great space. So thank you so much, Brittany.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
Same to you. Happy weekend. I adore you. I love this conversation, and we will do more.
Me too. Thank you so much, Megan.
Okay, let me know what Dolores says.
Oh, I will. I will.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay.
Hey.
Bye.